Good morning, everybody. Happy MLK Day. I saw it on television. Someone wished us a happy MLK Day. What does that day mean to you? It means a lot to me because I can relate to the struggle. But this morning, I just want to show you what I'm having for breakfast this morning. Guys, if you're trying to lose weight or just maintain a healthy diet, you must always break your fast. So I'm getting ready to break my fast this morning. I've been spent 13, almost 14 hours since I've had anything to eat, and that is how I usually lose a little weight, and I need to lose at least 12 pounds, honestly. Okay, having my coffee this morning in my little Keurig here, 1 cup at a time. And what else we got this morning? Last night I made some homemade raisin bran muffins. I use olive oil instead of oil, and I used some light brown sugar. They're not as sweet. Sometimes I use applesauce, but last night I put a little brown sugar in them, 2 tablespoons. That all. I had added 2 boxes of raisins to mine, and I'm gonna have some blueberries. I always have to have my blueberries or strawberries or something in the morning. 2 servings of fruit. I'll probably have a tangerine or orange or something later. And I like this yogurt. This is the brand of yogurt I like because it's made with coconut milk, and it's an alternative. It's not made with milk, not real milk. Okay. And if I use coffee creamer, I use the non-dairy. I'm out on our way to Whole Foods to pick up some items. So my husband likes his board and half and half. So that's what I'm gonna have for breakfast this morning. What are you having? Guys, MLK Day means a lot to me because I grew up on the tip end, not the tip end, of segregation, Jim Crow, come tumbling down. I went to school where they integrated the schools, and they were segregated at first, so I'm well aware of the struggle. I saw a lot, went through a lot, heard a lot, experienced a lot of ugliness here in the South. Atlanta, yes, Atlanta. Discrimination. Plenty many stories from my mom and my older brothers and sisters. But I remember the colored water fountains and white water fountains. Yes, I do. I remember when the schools were integrated. I had just started. I was in the 7th grade, getting ready to go to 8th grade. And I remember there were a lot of fights in the schools between the races. It was awful. It was terrible. Most of the boys. There were some students, all of them weren't as prejudiced or against people of color, but there were many. So there were a lot of fights, and you know what I mean, calling us the N-word. So the struggle was real. So when there's ML Day to me, that's what I reflect on. I didn't experience what they experienced in a lot of states, in Birmingham, having the water squirted on you from the hoses and the police brutality. But it was here. It was here in Atlanta, Fulton County. Yes, it was. And I remember living segregated from white people, and some of them would be very, very ugly. And we would pass through their neighborhoods, and they would try to sick their dogs on us, and they would call us the N-word. And we were young, so we hit back with the C word. You have to look up the C word, you know what I mean. We had a name for those that were ugly, just like they had a name for us. And that's what we were kids, but that's what we experienced, that's all we knew. So today, that's what people in my age group and a little younger reflect on the tip end. And it was bad, even up into the 80s when I was working. We went to a restaurant one time. Well, I didn't go in. A coworker went in. She was in Florida. And they told her that they did not serve black people, colored people. But she said, did not serve colored people in here. So I want you guys to realize that there are still people that feel that way. They're not as blatant with it, But hopefully, one day, God will change them, because in my estimation, when God changes your heart, you don't hate anybody. And I don't hate anyone. I judge people by, like Martin Luther King say, by their character, not by the color of their skin. And growing up here in the South, I don't remember interacting or knowing anyone of another color except black and white. There were neighborhood stores that were ran by some Jewish people, and they were very nice and kind to us because they had experienced a struggle too. But I experienced it now. I experienced in white flight. We started buying houses, and it's awful. I have many, many stories, and I'm putting it in my book. I just got to get real serious about finishing my book. But guys, growing up with Jim Crow was no joke. And we are grateful. We have come a ways. We really have. So we haven't come a long way. Yes, we have. But it's just about, you're talking about even good 50 years ago, mostly. That's not long. That's not very long. 50, 60 years ago. I grew up in the neighborhood. I remember seeing MLK House. We used to pass by his house all the time on the way to school or the health center. Yes. Excuse me. Atlanta was very different, but it was segregated. The hospital was segregated. Everything was segregated. Hospitals, schools. And this day I'll bring back a lot of memories. I remember when we went to school as young people, and our books were very torn and worn. And we knew that these books did not come. Were not new books. We did not get new books. Our white counter students got new books. We would get their used books. And in the books, I would see the names. I remember seeing some of the high schools, Sprayberry, Walton, all these schools in north in Atlanta. And the books were so worn, we would always say, why do we have to use these little raggedy books? We would have to cover them with paper sacks, a newspaper, or some kind of wrapping to just hold them in place so we could use them. So the struggle was real. The struggle was real. We did not interact. And there were no, I never met a Latino person or Asian person, or, because it was just black and white. That's all I saw. That's all I knew until I became an adult and started working. So segregation was an awful, ugly thing. But in one way, believe it or not, you could take some good out of a terrible situation. Our family unit was stronger in one sense because we did have a village. We had neighbors, we had friends, we had our own everything. We had our Atlanta newspaper, we had our radio stations, and we tried to patronize as many black entrepreneurs if possible. And my mom and dad taught us a lot. We taught us a lot about human behavior, and we were taught not to hate those oppressors, but to pity them and to pray for them because they was caught in a web of hate because of lack of knowledge and lack of experience. And then when I grew up, I met a lot of people, white people, would tell me stories about how their parents would tell them things, indoctrinate them about people of color, terrible things. And they were surprised. I even had a white sister tell me that, and a brother tell me that they were angry with their parents because when they went to the military or went out in the workforce, they saw and learned that their parents had just instilled a lot of ignorant, hateful things during their childhood. So you can indoctrinate your children to hate and teach them that they're better and that other races, people of other color, and races and cultures are inferior. But my mother never taught us that. And matter of fact, we were very proud to be black. We were very proud of our heritage, and we learned stories, and we had stories, and we have memories of our ancestors, because my mother was born, and believe this or not, my mother was born in 1916, and my dad was born in 1906. So you know they had many, many stories. And I have many, many stories, and I still have them written down. I have them in my heart. So I just want you to know that this is a day, it is an important day, and it means a lot. You know what? Those scars are deep. But God has helped us to overcome. Those of us that lived it. And I'm a native Atlanta, and I have a lot of stories. So guys, be grateful and be proud and be thankful of what Martin Luther King and others went through for us. God used him. No one's perfect, but God can still use us in all our mess, in all our messiness, in all our shortcomings and weaknesses. So it means a lot. It's just another day, another holiday. For some people just to be off, they don't know what it means. But we that experience it, brought up in that time, on the tip end, when the law was first passed, I was just still a youngster. But later on, it took a long time for that law to actually become a reality and start implementing it and carrying out. So they didn't just open doors and let us come in the front door overnight. It was a struggle. The law was passed, but some states, you know, the southern states back then, they put up a fight. So they always wonder why people of color are angry. Yes, they have a right to be angry, but you have to take that anger and use it in a more positive way, and not to be a hate in your heart, because hate is ugly and hate is not of God. But be aware and be proud of who you are. Be proud of your people. Be proud of where you came from. Be proud that my ancestors, and I'm not ashamed, came from the motherland. I am grateful. I thank my ancestors. I thank them for their struggle. And they went through a whole lot. And we experienced just a small fraction of what they went through. Nonetheless, pain is pain. But be grateful this morning. Take your G vitamin and be grateful for what you have, and be proud of where you came from. And guys, whatever you do, you know you need to exercise your right to vote. Exercise it, guys. I know a lot of people say, oh, it's nobody I want to vote for. Oh, we need to sit down. People are too old and this and that, the other. Guys, there's a lot at stake here. It's a lot at stake here. And the wind is coming. The storm is coming, believe it or not. You need to take time to be grateful and thankful, and to be proud of who you are. I've always watched other people, they're proud. They'll say, I'm from this, but I'm a Native American, I'm an Italian American, and I'm an African American, or whatever you want to call yourself. Be proud of where you came from, guys. We're all mixed and watered down, but at the same time, I am proud to be a black woman. I am proud to be a black woman, an African American black woman. Now, back in the day, we weren't considered blacks or African American. We were colored or we were Negroes. And that's what a lot of our birth certificate says. Mine says colored. My sister says Negro. So that was the struggle. And the struggle is real, and the struggle continues. So guys, be grateful this morning. Take time to reflect on what MLK means to you. Break that fast every day. That's how you're going to lose weight. Be proud. Thank you so much for watching. And you all have a great day. Bye-bye.